Hello, and welcome to DevonWay's Tips and Tricks video series.
Okay, the next section we're going to get into another BI calculated field. This one is the Elapsed Days function. So it's quite useful if you're ever building a report where you want to find out the number of days an item is overdue, or number of days until something is due, or how long it's been open, or how long it took it to close, for example. Those are all just calculations using a date field. So it's quite easy to do. We'll get into that in just a minute. And one of the other benefits of it is if you're ever grouping by a report, similar to what I'm showing here, typically by default, when you add a column or a calculated field like that, the totals are going to be a sum. But we can change those to be an average, which is much more beneficial for something like any of these days fields. So we'll show you how to do that so you can determine the average number of days it takes an employee, for example, to close an item. So we're going to switch back one more time. And here I've got a couple of reports already built, but we'll go through and just create a new calculated field as well. So here is one that's called days to close. So that's really just the difference between the date an item was opened and the date it was closed. So if we look here, we have the days open, and here's the date created versus the date closed. Unfortunately, this is a test area that's got a bunch of data that we just quickly open and close items, so there's only a couple that are the difference here, but you get the idea. And if we look at that calculated function, here it is. So the function, elapsed days, there's two parameters there, one date field and another date field. So here all I've done is say, give me the elapsed days between the date something was closed, which is a field down here, and the date created. And that's all it takes to do it. So we'll go through and create another one here. Let me open up this second example. And here we've got a couple of other ones built or displayed as well. So days until due, we'll just look at that one. So that one's a little different. So we've got elapsed days and one date field, date action due. And then the second parameter, instead of using a field, we're just using another function, the today function, which is available in this list as well down here. And that way it'll always run as of today. So what we'll do is we'll create a new one that's days overdue. So to do that, we just click in this area, say create calculated field, give it a name, days overdue. We'll find the elapsed days function, double click it. So now we're going to say, here we're just going to make this be today. So I could either type that in like this, or I could have easily just scroll down here and double click that as well. This integer offset, I'm just going to have B0. And for the second field, we want the date action due. So we're just going to double click that, replace that. If it's a field, you need to make sure it's enclosed in double quotes. If it's a function, there are no quotes. So we can hit validate, it's successful. And that shows up, and now we can double click that and add that to our report. me get rid of some of these other items here. So now we have there the days overdue. If by chance you don't want the trailing decimal points, you can right click it and change that format to just be a whole number. And the last point I talked about is we'll see here that I've got the totals turned on. And by default, it is the sum, which is probably not too useful. To change that, you just need to right click that again, change the summary calculation to an average instead of a sum. And then you'll have that. So now it performs an average for everybody. Again, I've just grouped by a current assignee, but you could easily group by teams or anything else and accomplish that same thing. So it's an easy function to use. Days open, and as I said before, we'll have a video of this online for you to reference in the future as well if you need to. Back to the slideshow. Just a summary of what we covered here. So it calculates the difference between two date fields or one date field and today. So here's an example of what we did. Just remember, a field needs to be enclosed in double quotes and a function does not.
Thank you for taking time to watch this DevonWay tips and trick video. We hope that you have enjoyed it and that you'll be able to apply what you have learned to help you be more efficient in your job. And remember, you can view a categorized list of all DevonWay tips and tricks videos at docs.devonway.com at the link below. Thanks. Goodbye.